Hi, my name is Packy, creator of Pack Rat's Shack. I upcycle furniture, build out of pallet wood, finish interior spaces, and have a vendor booth for my creations. Welcome to my world. Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome back to Pack Rat's Shack. And I would like to say thank you to all of my followers who are following along and keeping up with my Tennessee Chronicles. I do understand it kind of doesn't make a lot of sense, especially for some of those who might have gotten onto my channel because of furniture refinishing and upcycles and rebuilds or whatnot. I would just like to say I appreciate everyone hanging on until I get to the end of this chapter, where I'll have a whole new workshop ready for furniture refinishing, which, by the way, I do have several pieces that I brought down, at least about 4 or 5 different pieces I acquired and stored in the shed here to get started on that journey once my workshop is set up, which is still quite a ways down the road. But thanks for hanging in there with me. I really appreciate it. I know you keep hearing me say nothing goes to plan, but we found ourselves in yet another hurdle that was unplanned for, that needed addressed right away, because it was a domino effect that bothered and concerned and caused problems with my neighbors. So we had to jump on that. I guess to backpedal a wee bit on this is when Mom and I arrived towards the end of the construction after the backfill had been put in, we kind of were shocked with how the back was backfilled. We understood the front would be backfilled, but I guess I was thinking the back was something that would be put on hold till we were ready to get to that. And there was so much backfill brought in that it came all the way up very level with the sliding doors and everything to make that at that level just rolled over and off the side of the hill, which isn't what we wanted, but there was no communication on that because we didn't know that was happening. So my thought was I was wanting to do it in the future where I could put up a retaining wall first that would stop any of the dirt where I wanted it stopped at, and then it wouldn't impede there on the natural part of the woods behind us, and there would be a nice division and a flat area that could be mowed and maintained. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to mow and maintain a hill, but it's not really that easy. Being hired as a teenager to try to stay on top of my grandparents' hill that went down to a river that you could barely stand on and try to maintain that from overgrowth is enough of an insight on that kind of problem that I didn't want it here. I don't want that. I don't want to have to deal with maintaining overgrowth on a hill. Yeah, I just don't want to do that. So we know we have a situation that we need to address, and we were just hoping that we could get the inside done first. We didn't put money aside for landscaping or anything like that because we thought that would be earned income after we closed out with the bank. That's just project after project after project that you can just keep on making it how you want it. That's not how things turn out though, because all of the runoff every time, and this has been through spring, it's been a very rainy spring, more rainy than usual, so I'm hearing, and all of this runoff is just going down the hill and into the creek and over into our next door neighbor's pond, which I had noticed in some of the very bad rainfalls. You could see a mud creek stream that you normally can't see from the balcony, and then how red and muddy and murky their pond has become. But it still remains muddy all the time now, their pond. So it's not a good situation, and I was realizing that, but yet I also am so tunnel vision on what I need to do that I guess I was still maybe being inconsiderate and thinking I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm only one person and the bank has a deadline and they don't care about that. The neighbors did stop by about 2 weeks ago, I would say, and they said what their concerns were, which are reasonable, and they are not mean or bad people about it. They're very nice, very cordial, very understanding, and just wanting to communicate through to figure out how to resolve the issue so that it doesn't continue to become more and more of a problem. So at that time I understood what they were talking about, and I knew that I would have to coordinate with my mom to figure out how to go about doing anything. So at first I was just like, okay, on your next trip down, we need to get into starting to plant things, because that will, not immediately, but eventually, once the root systems take off and they're absorbing a lot of the water that's coming down, they will start to get some of the water from the top of our property. And everything from the top, which is kind of where the road, the main road that goes through the gravel road, everything from there goes all the way downhill to the creek. I brought him onto the property to look at where more of the erosion, I believe, was coming from, which is the fact that we don't have gutters. And I showed him the major ruts that were happening on the back side of the house from all of the torrential fall off of the roof whenever it's a horrible rainstorm. He looked at it and we're both agreeing that's where the worst of the problem is, and we started talking about silt fencing, and he was saying what he was doing on his property, and I was like, okay, I understand, and I do know that we need to get gutters. It wasn't something that was in the budget, so I'll have to talk to Mom to figure out where we can get the money from, but we'll get on it. So that first week, Mom came down on a visit and we planted.
Hi guys! Been a long time. So right now we're going to be putting some plants here so the road stops crumbling down. And if you notice my hand is red, that's because I've been harvesting some of the clay that's around here, and I'm making my own pottery clay. Trying to, at least. But nice to see you guys again. Let's get working. Can do, Mommy Moo.
This is Nova's first visit down since I moved. So of course, I've got to put her straight to work. And yeah, I'm a slave driver. What can I say? It wasn't all a loss though, because we did the planting in the morning and then we did some more in the evening, and in the middle of the day we took some time off and went down on a tour at the underground sea, which happens to be the largest underground sea in America and the second largest in the world, and it's right here near us in Sweetwater. So it was an awesome tour. There was a lot of information on the history of the cave, and there was a nice little boat ride on the sea during that tour, which was very, very clear, by the way. You could see the fish underneath you swimming. So it was awesome. We had a good time in the middle of the day with the work all the way around it. So while Mom and Nova were trying to plant the myrtle in the bank, which it's hard to stand up on, let alone dig and try to have bearings to have any like momentum to dig in. Anyways, I was trying to transplant plants that I had brought down from Indiana previously and temporarily planted them around the shed. I was trying to get them over towards the bank and kind of get the middle section, so eventually they'll be nice, full, big flowers that will stop things from eroding down. I didn't get halfway through those. And like I said, it's really hard digging right there. So I guess with time we'll see how things are gonna do on that bank. But I really think we need some more quality dirt rather than just all that clay. After that first week of conversation with the neighbors, when they showed their concern on what was happening with the erosion and the silt flow, we had already gotten started on the planting at the top to eventually start the capture of runoff from the top of our property. And we were getting things going and rolling in the direction of where they are now. But in the meantime, they contacted us because it was such a concern to them that they were really thinking our property absorbing more of the water faster would be a benefit to them. So they offered to put down grass seed and straw on our property to start to have that absorption of the natural rainwater that was coming down. Of course, we know that's not going to help anything with the gutters, but it does help with absorbing the water as it comes down naturally. Knowing that it was such a concern to them that they were willing to spend their own money to do that on our property, I'm not gonna be mean and say, no, mind your own business. I mean, that's just not neighborly. It is a major concern, and even though I don't wanna be mowing a yard or taking care of stuff like that right now, I don't know where to fit the time in to do that. I'm like, sure, go ahead and do that if that will help, because I do want it to help them. So I do want to get on top of that situation, and I'm just going to have to continue to figure out how to budget myself time-wise and financially through this hurdle. That's all there is to it, because these are good people. I mean, we wanted to be here. We chose to be here. So with that comes the responsibilities, and sometimes you don't know what all they are until you're in it. And that's where we are right now. We're finding out where our responsibilities lie, and I have to put time aside to address it and not just stay tunnel vision focused on the inside. So that's where we are right now. So in the meantime, the neighbors did contact the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. I think that's the department name. And they, not to make a complaint, so this isn't them being rude, they're trying to figure out what they need to do on their property to stop the silt from coming in, which then leads the environmental scientists to walk the creek, keep going upstream, and to make contact with everybody that is involved, because I'm not the only one that's having runoff that lands in their pond. So they're not being mean or nasty about any of this, but it is a situation that needs to be resolved. So anyways, I'm in the middle of contacting gutter services to come out for quotes, and I get a call from her. And so we have to have the conversation, and I have to tell her what all's going on and what we have done and what we're planning on doing. And you know, she was like, okay, that's all well, you are in violation. I could cite you a violation, but you're already trying to take steps to resolve the situation. You really need to get the silt fencing up, and I need to know when the gutters are on, take pictures, send me step by step everything that you're gonna do so I can avoid violating you. And I'm like, okay, cool, we're already in the works, but I will tell you that I do have to wait for my mom to show up so that if I have to hitch the trailer to my car that the transmission is about to fall out of and I get stranded, I'm not stranded for long. Like, I can have a second backup plan, because if she's not here, I'm stranded. So I'm like, it's only 2 days away. So, you know, mom gets here, we do all of that, we go get all the supplies, she follows me, and it worked out without a hitch. But had she not been here, I'm sure I would have been on the side of the road, broke down somewhere. So anyways, we got the silt fencing all put up on her second visit. I almost threw myself over. And I would like to say how grateful I am that while we were putting the silt fencing up, we didn't come across any snakes, and actually didn't really see anything other than spiders and mosquitoes and gnats and stuff like that. Those are all dealable, right? No copperheads. But it's very worrisome after you've come across one. Speaking of which, Draco, that's what I named the copperhead, Draco. I mean, a slithering name seems best fitting, right? Yeah, so Draco's been hanging around for the last 3 days. Up over here where I showed you he was the last time. He's going all along that side of the house and even has come up and around by the slider. So I haven't been out there for the last 3 days. And by this point, we have quotes coming in for the gutter people, and we had 3 different companies come and show up, and we agreed on and set up and got onto the schedule for gutters. And the following Monday, they came out and put on the gutters, and everything is just getting sorted out really nicely. So now that the scrap pile is all moved, that really needs to be reseeded. I think some of the area got seeded, but I was in the middle of moving the pile, so I think a lot of it just wasn't bare yet to be seeded. So I went out and I started spreading some seed and wanting to put down some straw there, and in the midst of that, I discovered this.
Okay, so something miraculous just happened, and it was kind of a neat ending for a crappy day, which I haven't really had that many, so that's pretty good in itself. But I was out here seeding another area to help with erosion control, and I'm just minding my own business, sprinkling grass seed, going along. And I mean, granted, I did kind of look around, but I must have got tunnel vision and really didn't notice a real neat thing that was going on over here. So I'm sprinkling seed, and then, oh, a nice little turtle. It's a cute little box turtle or painter turtle, I think. But then I'm like, okay, I won't bother you. I'm just gonna sprinkle my seed over here and around over here, and I'm not gonna bother you. You just stay there and I won't get it near you. But I get around on this side and she's laying her eggs. So we have a turtle egg nest right here.
So I'm just gonna leave her alone. I'm gonna walk away and let her be. But I just thought it would be neat to show everybody this kind of interesting, neat little miracle moment. I'll tell you, this was a much nicer surprise than coming out to put your table saw away to find a copperhead. And I've looked it up, and it looks like maybe 2 months or so these eggs should be hatching and coming back up. So we're going to keep an eye out and be looking back in August to see what happens with the eggs. The only thing left is I need to get more of the corrugated piping, landscaping, tubing, whatever it is, to direct the water off of the downspouts the way I want it to go. In the front, I need them to be raised and so that can be prepared for more backfill up there. But in the back, I need to redirect them and kind of dig them down and have a runoff location where I dictate it to be, so that I can put down aggregate and riprap rock or whatnot to catch all of the heavy flow when torrential falls happen and it's gushing out, so it won't cut in any more ruts. The concern with the neighbor's pond is just as concerning to me as it is to them, because from our balcony you can see their pond, you can hear the bullfrogs, everything's nice and serene and natural, and I want to keep it that way. So yeah, that's another hurdle we've had to learn through and figure out and come up with funds for and get to the bottom of. We're still kind of in the middle of. There's going to be a lot of transition to get it just right, but for the meantime, we just got to keep an eye on the silt fencing and the straw barriers, and if there's any runoff that's trying to impede those or run around them, then we need to just correct that and extend them or put up another layer or whatnot. So anyways, I hope this filled you in on how things are going down here and what our newest hurdle has been. As always, I greatly appreciate you watching and thank you for your time. And as always, until next time, stay safe out there.